Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everybody? What's going on, Chip?
Lost your voice.
Man, I lost my voice again. But you know what we're going to talk about today? We
No?
are going to talk about the future of crypto. Why do we have to talk about the future of crypto? It's all tied into the future of this country. And one of the things that we're seeing here, the narrative is that things are actually going to turn out very positive. And some big observations that we're going to cover today. XRP Garlinghouse tweeting out a pro-Trump candidate. We're going to talk about that. And is Trump supporting no tax on crypto? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and very well might be no tax on crypto transactions. We got to talk
Here we
about
go.
that, dive into that. You ready to kick this thing off?
I'm ready to dive in the shallow end head first. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
But let's get to the elephant in the room here. XRP Plumbing says, heads up, Chip and Jeff, that YETIS coffee tasted not so good. Now, that would be the first time we've ever heard that. First time Jeff and I buy it and drink it as well. So just curious, what did you buy? Which style or whatever you call it? Yeah, which one did you get? And if you got the one that I'm thinking of, that might be why you might think that, but it depends what kind of flavor you're looking for. But sorry that that's what happened, but I just would like to know some more information because honestly, we've never heard anything bad or any bad vibes. So there you go. But let us know.
That's not.
It would just be a bad bag. Well, tell me, there's no such thing. Yeah, dry beans. No, there's no dry beans, man. Send it back. There are no dry beans. It's freshly roasted. That's what's really strange about this comment because it's freshly roasted and sent out. There are not dry beans. So that's one of the things that's interesting. Which bag did you get? Let's
Medium roast.
Which one's that?
That would be
the medium roast. You can't even name. You can't name what's on the bag, man. You can't name the bag. So I was looking for the name of the bag. What's on the bag?
The medium roast would be either the Mountain Mist or the
I know it happened, but it doesn't have. It shouldn't have.
Could be the breakfast blend.
Is it the breakfast blend? Because the breakfast blend is. I'll be honest with you. I don't care for it because it's just too. It's not
light.
It's very light tasting.
Really light. Yeah.
If you get breakfast blend, then that might be. You might be.
I got it a month and a half ago. That also happens. So with any coffee,
there you go. Well, thank you for saying
that. If you open a coffee and you let it sit around with beans, they'll dry out after a while.
Yeah, the idea is you're supposed to you get it and you make it right away and the beans will not be dried out. It's
skip the coffee chat matters.
No, we're not skipping it, man, because we put a product out, we put our name behind it, and someone's unhappy with it. It's not cool. So we're not going to skip it. We need to address it. We need to chat about it. We need to get some more details. But so we're not gonna do that. So
all right. Well, let's dive in. We got some interesting XRP and Ripple focused news. So we'll get into that first.
Yeah, let's dive into that first too. So Garlinghouse tweeted this out or posted this on X, but Ripple was talking about the Q3 24 XRP markets report that went live. Last quarter saw major milestones and partnerships, including the ETH ETF launch, rising speculation around the U.S. presidential election, and the announcement of the RLUSD, that's their stablecoin exchange partners, which I thought that was a little bit underwhelming, to be honest with you. I would have expected a little bit more. I mean, okay, but I would expect a little bit more on that side of it. He was basically talking about that post saying that the message from the market's clear: institutional interest in XRP products stronger than ever. You got Bitwise and you got Canary Funds and 21 Shares just this morning filed S1s for XRP ETFs, while Grayscale launched an XRP trust and filed to convert its multi-asset fund, including XRP, into an ETF. And a lot of this, and this is where the so-called XRP influencers have gotten it wrong from day one. They're still talking about Ripple. They're still talking about SEC. They're still talking about a settlement, and none of that matters because XRP has legal clarity in the United States, and that's all that matters. And whatever tiff Ripple has with the SEC, I wish them well. I think they're going to win, but it doesn't. Who cares? It doesn't have any bearing on XRP itself, which is why you see this happening. This is exactly why you see, Bitwise and Canary Funds and 21 Shares. These S1s are getting filed for ETFs because the fact is they got clarity. And I think it probably waited a little bit too to see what the SEC was going to come back with, because there was a lot of misunderstanding in the market that the that the SEC was going to appeal the ruling about XRP. And if you listen to the right people on there, the attorneys like a Jeremy Hogan, a John Deaton, they said that was never up for discussion. So that was never part of the deal. But I think they almost had to wait for that to happen before they would actually go out and start filing this stuff, as if they thought it would happen, because there's so much bad misinformation out there. But he goes on to say the SEC's war on crypto is lost battle after battle. Their continued disregard for the court's authority will further erode the SEC's credibility and reputation. Spot on right there. Like they've undone themselves as an agency. They're going after something that they're calling a security that's not a security. They even invented the term. Jeff, what was the term they invented for what was it called? The very first on the SEC versus Ripple, the very first page, they called it a
the crypto security.
Crypto security or they invented some word that didn't exist, and then they had to sort of like retract that, and like later down the road, like, so all of this is brought upon themselves for being stupid. So crypto security, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Crypto security, they just started making stuff up. Crypto's not a security. It's why they're not the right governing body. But again, that's why you got a guy like Gary Gensler. And this is what's so shocking, Jeff, is all these people who are into crypto, like a Chris Larson, who has a company, who's a billionaire, and he's going to go vote for Kamala Harris, who's given no indication this is going to be good. Was it? Oh, it's a digital asset security. Okay, there you go.
That's right.
I knew it was something like that, but it's just baloney. It's just garbage, right? It's just nasty garbage. And here, so I was going through. I saw this. I was kind of surprised in a way, because Jeff and I speculated a while back, because he got called out on stage. When was that, Jeff? It was years ago. I think it might have even been before the 2020 election. But Arrington was on stage with him. We played the clip where he kind of called him out. It was like,
Gensler,
you're a Trump guy, right? And he was
with
like,
who? Oh, with Garlinghouse. Yeah.
He never denied it. He laughed and he started changing the subject. I think he kind of got caught off guard. But check this out. So Team Moreno, this guy Bernie Moreno, is running against Sherrod Brown, and you guys all know Sherrod Brown is another clown, another anti-crypto dude, right? Not a good guy, Democrat. Got this Republican Bernie Moreno that's running against him, and I was shocked. Garlinghouse reposted it, and this and it's from the Team Moreno account. The account that's behind Bernie Moreno, and it said, career politician Sherrod Brown is enemy number one of digital currencies. I don't know if he's number one. He's not top three, maybe, Jeff.
He's definitely in the top three.
I don't know if I would say Warren's number one, right? President Trump will be America's first crypto commander in chief. And if you think about that, Garlinghouse reposted it. It says Trump will be America's first crypto commander in chief. That's a pretty big deal, I think. If probably the most proof we've ever seen. He hasn't disclosed who he voted for or what's going on, but he's reposting this. And I do have this video that we can watch, and we can see what is the content of the video. What does that look like? So go ahead and pull that up. Okay, there it is. And let's do it. That is not the right one. Nice. Way to go, man. Did I label it wrong? Here.
Brought up the wrong one.
Oh, yeah, I did bring up the wrong one. You know what?
Devon is bringing up a good point there. Sometimes wonder that Ripple is trying to ride both horses, and it is interesting dynamic where you have Chris Larson coming out with big financial support for Kamala Harris, and then you have Brad Garlinghouse over a long period of time now has been playing this up. He always sounds more conservative than he does left, and that could be the balance. But from a corporation perspective, they're potentially playing both sides. But why would they when it's very clear and obvious where Harris wants to drive the country and crypto and our financial state, and where Trump wants to drive the country and crypto and our financial state? It's a very clear dissection of directions. So
Yeah, for sure, Jeff. I
you know,
mean, and think about it. It makes a lot of sense. And it was kind of weird when we played that Larson clip. He didn't really know how she supported it. He just thinks she's going to support it. Like it wasn't
right,
definitive.
it's
He even
very
got
strange.
asked, like, "Hey, are you in backdoor meetings? Are you like in
Right,
these sort of like backroom sort of meetings?" And he's just like, "This is stuff we've heard from friends, right?" It wasn't this necessarily like this like yes, here's what happened. No, it's kind of like loosey goosey. And so I think that maybe you're right. They're trying to sort of split the baby here and kind of ride them both. And whatever administration, gosh, we were friendly. Remember we gave you that donation?
right.
But it's wildly reported all over the place as $10 million. No, it was 10 million
10
XRP,
million XRP, right?
which is 5.5 million to whatever XRP is. I mean, I don't even look at the price anymore. But let's watch the video. I have it pulled up here.
Always make certain that American innovation happens here in America. And what's happening is because of people like Sherrod Brown and Elizabeth Warren, they're pushing the industry overseas. Europe is way ahead of us, something I never thought I'd say in the technology sector. So we have to make certain that the crypto companies understand what the regulation is, what the tax policy is, so that this technology flourishes right here in America. Sherrod Brown, unfortunately, is the least qualified person I can think of to regulate crypto. He doesn't even understand how email works, let alone understand how this technology works. So we need people who actually know what they're doing, Maria.
There it is, Jeff. Litecoin every
Like
single time.
well,
Litecoin
you got
is
to
up
invest
there.
in it's the top
That's
three: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. They'll never
what
drop
I'm thinking
Litecoin
about, Jeff. Bitcoin, number one, Ethereum, number two, and
and Litecoin.
Litecoin. Is that even in the top 10 anymore? I don't even think it is. I
No,
think it's dropped
no,
out
I
of the
don't
top
think
10.
I don't think so.
That's insane.
Don't think it is. No.
Remember that guy
Oh,
from Prometheum, the guy who was siding with the SEC, who was going to help him. Yeah. Well, that
yep,
was like that was a that was a scam right there.
yeah,
Even
and that's
Larson can be
true.
fooled by the MSM. Yeah, I mean everybody can be. Let's see. Regardless of anything, Ripple donating to Kamala will lose investors, even if it's a great project, because of its morality. Then we've got great tech doesn't make it great investment.
It's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of great tech. Sometimes it's too early, sometimes it's too late. It's all about timing. It's all about
Mhm.
conditions, all about regulatory stuff. Here we have at 30 billion market caps, not fully diluted. They don't need any more reasons to invest in XRP. Get Ripple stock and swing trade XRP monthly. There you go. I mean, I think the ecosystem is growing and there's a lot going on, especially on the tokenization. But that's the XRPL. It's nothing to do with it's nothing to do with XRP. So I mean, where's XRP's place? Like, what is it? What's its use case anymore? Ripple seems to have dropped it. Even in their what they had as that liquidity, it's kind of remorphed itself into a different name, but they're using Ethereum and they're using other crypto in that. They're not even using XRP. So it could be because of the regulatory pieces of it. I don't necessarily know, but I thought it was interesting that he did retweet this or repost it over on X. When I look at the stuff that he does repost about,
Jetpack is, focused on the meme coin, and it's kind of crazy. If you look at the growth or lack of growth of XRP as an asset over a period of time, if you go back to 2017, then you probably doubled your investment. If you bought in around, post the filing of the lawsuit, December of 2020, when it went back down to about 25 cents, you probably doubled your investment. The one thing with
yeah,
XRP is that once it hits its point, it always just seems to maintain some sort of stability, and it doesn't move. It doesn't make, big, gains, whereas others are, in the meme coins, especially, you're seeing, huge amounts of money, but you don't know. There's so many meme coins. How do you know? It's just you're putting $100 here, $1,000 there, and most of them are just going to disappear. Most of them don't last.
That's right. But speaking of meme coins, Crypto Eddie posted this, and I thought it was great. And her post was something like "nothing like a Charles Hoskinson rant," and yeah, I thought this was an interesting one. So let's listen in.
Meme coins, they have no value. They never will have value. They will never, ever have value. Stop thinking they will. You degenerates, grow the hell up. You will never make something from nothing. Okay? The prices go up, they go down. And yes, you can have fun with it, and it's gambling at the very best. It's degeneracy at the very least. But what do you expect? Honestly, what do you expect? What is the outcome of this game? You buy a token, and the token goes up a little bit, and a whole bunch of other people rush in, and the token goes up. And then what happens? People dump on you. That's how that game works. It's always worked that way for meme coins. Always will work that way for meme coins. Oh, what about the culture? And what about all this other stuff? And what about this? There's no culture behind somebody taking a picture of me and turning it into a meme coin for the purposes of a pump and dump. It's degen's going to degen. And then what I pointed out, you then take it as a buy signal? How stupid are you? Honestly, I don't endorse meme coins, but we all know that these things have no value. There's no utility behind them. Nobody wants them. When they lose their luster, they go to zero. And it's a useful idiot, the greater idiot theory. It's what it is. That's how meme coins operate. And the reason why meme coins have any popularity right now is people are bored in the bear market.
True.
We've gone through 3 years of a bear market, brutal, evil bear market. It's been horrible. And so people got to do something with all this crypto wealth that they have. So they move water from one side of the bathtub to the other side of the bathtub in one great casino. And some people get very lucky and they create a meme coin that goes to the moon, and then it collapses and they move on to the next thing. And one after another, after another, after another, after another. Why do you expect it to be any different?
There you go.
Good point.
What are your thoughts on that?
The thing is, it's not new. If you go to the penny stocks were pumped and dumped as well. There were a lot of typical low volume stocks, and people would ramp up the pricing. The bag holders would come in at the top, and then it typically dumps down. But how is that? And I get it. It's an interesting lesson. And one of the things we talk about is Kramer, and he pumps stocks. He pumps certain companies, and it always seems it's just at a higher level. But you have big institutions that pump stocks. They have all the news media and the stock promoters talking about the valuation of certain stocks and the buy signals, but you're typically buying at a high point, and normally there's a sell-off. Maybe there's a potential for gain, but it's all the time when they're pumping on something, or if they're negative on something, that's typically the time to buy in. It's a weird dynamic, whether it's stocks or with meme coins. It's always going to be based off of FOMO and FUD. It's always fear of missing out, or it's it's kind of a crazy dynamic. And I like his point on people are bored in the bear market.
Yeah,
You have to keep some excitement going. It's fun to play around with some of the meme coins. It's fun to have this kind of keeping the hope alive that maybe it will, translate into something bigger. But at the same time, shit, am I still here?
You're still here, but you kind of froze or something weird.
Oh, that's weird. My whole computer just went
We
down.
still hear you, but you're for some reason like you're intently.
Give me a sec. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened over there, but But I was trying to pull up something over here. Let's see. Jeff probably has to come out and come back and all that stuff. But and the thing about what's exciting about the XRPL is like the most excitement we've had in a long time is this whole idea with these meme coins, which is wild because nothing's happening, right? It's kind of this bull market. I was going to put this up, First Ledger. I don't know if you guys have traded here anything yet, but let me, where the heck is the screen? Here it is. Okay. First Ledger, welcome to First Ledger. So you see like, and again, this is 2.5 weeks old. This went up 2.5 weeks ago. There's like hundreds of these meme coins. So here it is right here. Drop was the big one for a while. And then I don't know what this one is, but you can just see the price, 147 XRP. This one is bear, it's 0.017. Drop is 7.38, right? So if you just look through this list, it's an insane amount of tokens. I forgot. Okay, this is page 1 of 357. Okay, 357. Let's go to the last page. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, there's nothing on the last page. How about that? Go to the previous page. Look at this. I mean, you got to the point of where 0.00, 4 more zeros, and then a 2-3 XRP. There's lots of Schwartz ones, Elmer, Banker, Scrap, just a whole bunch of legendary. Is that our legendary? Legendary has its own token. So yeah, I guess you can have your own token on there. Snoot, Max, Moon, Sloppy, the bear. It's just, there's the Hawk Tua token. It's kind of what he was saying. You take a picture, you put it on there, you release the token, and then there you go. And it depends, Lieutenant Dan, the guy that was during the hurricane and in the Bay over there and up in Tampa there. It's just crazy to see all of these meme tokens. Look, you got Gensler, it's like the Gensler, because that's what you want to own. You want to own the Gensler token. Jeff, what I'm looking at is First Ledger. I'm looking at First Ledger here and on the token page, and come in here, you can see that I think it's let me go to let's see, first page. If you look at all these tokens, there are 357 pages. This has been live for 3 weeks, basically. 357 pages of tokens.
Jetpack saying meme tokens take up too much of the crypto market cap to not have your portfolio, to not have in your be exposed to it. You'd be doing yourself a disservice. Getting a couple, holding a few. That's like the Shibarium chip. You look at what's going on here with it, and this is a relatively new phenomenon here with all these XRP meme tokens.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there's just, I mean, it just got flooded, man, just flooded with all kinds of stuff. I mean, my God, Fat Stacks, Maru, Cats,
60 cents.
What
is it tied back to?
That's just the value of the meme coin. Like, so if you buy,
I know, but let's say go to the Cats at 60 cents.
Where's the cat one? Why don't I see that one? Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
There it is.
58. Oh, XRP.
There's basically $3,000 in market cap.
Market cap.
I think drop was is let me show XRPL tokens. I think they are. Let me look at drop. Isn't that Cobb's? Is that Cobb's token drop? Because then he then look at all the other drops that came out. Drop. It's like, well, which one is 85 cents? And I think the tokenomics are you can only have 20% to go to the dev, and the rest of them have to go to the marketplace, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then all these copy.
But none of them they're not tied into anything.
Well, why would they're meme tokens. They don't mean, it's like it's XRC, what was those ones? ERC20s, the ones when on Ethereum back in 2017 when they got really big pie. It's the same thing. happening on the XRPL now. That's all
Yeah.
it is. That's all it is. I had this cool video from
I like how
yeah,
Silver said it's like a pet rock, and then
it's fun,
XRP
man.
Plum said, "How much money do you think they made on pet rocks?" Made
Just
a
like
shit ton of money. Shit
just
ton of money.
degen's gonna degen. There you go. That's it right there. That's pretty much kind of nails it. Oh, Cobb did banker. Okay, banker. Let's see banker.
Mark is saying made $800 profit on a meme in 5 days. There you go.
How come I don't see banker showing up here, man?
I made money on Doge.
Yeah, made some money on Doge too, but it's fun to do. I don't see banker showing up. That's weird.
Caroline said, "Shut up, Charles. Memes are just fun, and their value is in the community trading them." Which is true. I mean, think about all the different collectibles over time. Beanie Babies, for God's sake. People collected Beanie Babies, spent tons and tons of money on Beanie Baby collectibles. People collect little porcelain whatevers, and they have value within the community. I mean, it's unbelievable. Years ago, when I had an eBay store, we helped people sell all sorts of crazy things, and it opened my eyes to what people collect. And I met some interesting individuals. I happen to have some World War II artifact, and we were selling World War II artifacts, and I couldn't believe how many people around the country are into collecting military hardware, whether it's uniforms all the way to tanks. And it
Crazy,
opened me
man.
up. And I mean, when we're talking about, they have massive, yards filled with, and they're like museums. I met a guy, and he had come in, and he said he wanted to sell some movie theater seats. I said, okay, great. And so I went over to his house. He's in Plantations Acres. And I went over there, and he had 3 barns. And I went into the barns, and he had vehicles. He had a gas station from like the early days set up. He had a movie theater from like the 20s. He had a what are those stores called back in the old west? He had one of those stores. He had an old church. This is inside the barn, like set up like it was a town. Like, you're walking through this thing. And then one of the other barns, like I said, was vehicles. He had a train car in one of them. I mean, these are like the collectors. So when you get into meme coins, and so anywhere from like a Beanie Baby over to people collect all sorts of things. So why wouldn't people be excited about meme coins when they're within a community, and you see, whoever's creating it, and you get excited about it? It's yeah, it's fun. Definitely fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you for that, XRP Plumber. Look at that right there. This is a really important thing to highlight. Tuesday is election day in the States. If you're in Massachusetts, it's time to vote for John Deaton.
Oh, it's coming up.
It's time to vote for John Deaton. I cannot take this grifter anymore. She is a complete moron. I mean, she's the dumbest human on planet Earth with her stupid. She's always going to do something, and she does zero. 12 years in Congress, she's done nothing. And I want to pull this up here. This is kind of cool. We have I don't know who this guy is right here, Rich CGC40. We said, but he basically posted that he there he is right there. There's the ballot, and he selected John Deaton. It's kind of cool to see John Deaton on the ballot right there. Senator in Congress. It's funny. I was talking to a guy yesterday from Canada, and we started the crypto conversation came up. He said, "Oh, your politics is crazy," and he goes, "I thought our politics were crazy. It's getting really crazy over there. Maybe that'll all end." And I said something to the effect of like, "Yeah." He goes, I said, "Yeah, I actually am excited about one of the races, which is the race against Elizabeth Warren." He goes, "Oh, is that's that crypto attorney that's running against her, right?" Like he knew. He's like, "Yeah, John Dean." He goes, "Yeah, that's right." He goes, I go, "How do you know that?" He goes, "Are you like really into crypto?" He goes, "No, but his stuff comes up on my feed. Like I just see, like I've seen a lot of people talking about it. So it's cool that he actually found the buzz of it,
Mhm.
which is kind of interesting. But that's cool, man. There it is, right there. You just write it in, and kind of cool. And then John said, "Thank you for giving me the honor of your vote." Very cool thing. Here,
That's cool.
this old bag, dumb old bag. My God, she's a nut. If so, she says Kamala Harris has a plan to lift up the middle class. Well, that's weird because she said she'd do nothing different than Biden, and there's the middle class has been destroyed. Okay, everyone has a plan, you know. Wasn't that what Tyson said? Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face, something like that. John Dean says, if this was true, I wish you would have shared that plan with President of the United States because working people are struggling to make the rent and buy groceries. And if true, I wish the president would have listened to the vice president more instead of allowing you to have such influence over our financial markets and institutions. So there you go. And then here's another one where he was talking about, imagine how much more money has been spent on legal fees, prosecuting, defending Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren's war on crypto. Well, over a year ago, Garlinghouse estimated the cost of Ripple alone would have exceeded $100 million. The amount of money wasted is staggering. Yeah, all because of this fake war. And look, if they're wrong, they should have to pay. They should, you know, let's bring a suit against them.
The consequence.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Think about if Ripple spent 150 million, how much has the government spent? Not just against Ripple, but all the different entities. On the overall war. I mean, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. And they'll go to, you know, they'll bring they have a bottomless pit of money. That's the problem. You know, they're not capped. He doesn't have a cap of budget of what he can spend. He can just keep spending. And he's losing at the same time.
She's an old floozy.
And that's a good thing.
A floozy. That's a word you haven't heard in a while. She's an old floozy. That's a great word. Gosh. Mark Smith says 80% of voters will vote because they recognize a last name. That's it. That's why
Right.
Geriatrics. I don't think so, man. I have a different theory on that. I believe the reason they stay in is because our election we've shined a light on it recently, but our elections have not been on the up and up for many years. You can go back to when Kennedy was elected. That was the first sign of the crack in the armor. All the shenanigans that went on in Chicago there to get Kennedy over the line. And so our elections, these incumbents, they come, the people hate them. They can't stand them. They're down in the polls and they win every time. It's a little suspect. I just don't buy that. That's the reason they stay around. I don't buy it.
It is a combination, but the other problem is people don't go out to vote.
That's the other problem. People don't vote.
That's a massive, massive problem. So when you have 65% of eligible voters voting, you have a problem. When you go into primaries, when you have like a 20 or 30% voter turnout, 40% voter turnout, you have a major problem. So, even, when you get to the micro aspect of vote. So if you're coming to vote in the primaries, you're coming to vote for your town or your city, and you're not showing up for those votes. Many of the states and counties have potentially changed their voting for local politics on different dates, and there's no hype around it. Nobody knows about it. So if you want to influence school board, you want to influence your city and town policy, your county policy, you have to be very cognizant, because that's where it all starts. Those are the people that get ingrained, and they're supported by the state level representatives, state Senate, state House, and they're influenced by the U.S. representatives, House and Senate. So if you think about that network, it all starts at the grassroots, and people don't vote there, and people aren't focused there, and that starts all the problems. So once we start, focusing on our town and city politics, our school boards, our state House and our state Senate, that's where you start making impact, because again, that's many times that was the pool that was picked to run for a U.S. House, U.S. Senate. Now it's changed a little bit, but still that becomes the network. So if you can somehow break up the quote unquote, political mafia in each one of your counties, that's what it takes. It takes voter turnout. The other part of it is making sure that the polling places are being honest. and we shared that one live stream about it. There's obviously a lot of shenanigans that go on in the supervisor of election offices. It happened in Broward County. That woman is gone, and I've talked a lot about it, but it took a monumental effort in the 2018 election to get her out. But the other thing is DeSantis almost lost. And that was because of the shenanigans and the cheating that was going on. And it's amazing. The person that was running against him was a nobody. Turns out to be a druggie, right? They get rid of that guy.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. You think about what happens, but they want chaos. And to your point, it didn't start, this decade. It didn't start even in the 2000s. It started a long time ago. And little by little, they sowed chaos. The other thing is the Democrat Party has ingrained themselves into many of the immigration systems. So when people come over and they immigrate here, the Democrats are right there front and center getting them to register. And this has been happening for years, and years. And they register as a Democrat. And then it becomes, and so there's a lot to it. But there's a lot of shenanigans that have happened over the years. And hopefully now we're shedding a lot of light on it and things will change.
Mark Smith, every country requires voter ID except the U.S. So when my wife and I went to vote last weekend, she's like, I don't know where my voter card is. I'm like, you don't need your voter card. She goes, what do I need? I go, just your license. Bring your ID. That's it. Checked in with their IDs. Yep. Okay. Pulled you right up in the thing. Like that's how they know you. It's like the voter card. Yeah, it tells you where your precinct is. It tells you, who your representative. It tells you that stuff, but it doesn't really matter. You don't have to have that. But that's the state of Florida. State of Florida is like, it's a voter ID state. You do not show up. I remember one time for a primary, I show up and I was like, I was trying to get there before it closed. And I walked in and they're like, do you have ID? And I looked, oh shit, I left my wallet at home. I was like, look, I left my wallet at home. You can look me up in the thing. And they go like, no, you can't. Sorry, you can't vote. Like this, it's like it's the normal thing. And then they passed a law in California that if you even ask somebody for an ID, that's an offense, and you go to jail for that. This is how ridiculous we've gotten. But you got to look at who runs these states. They're blue states. They're Democrat states. Look who's been fighting voter IDs. Why do you fight voter ID if you're not going to be? What happened to you, Jeff? Did you go away?
I lost my camera. Keeps shutting off.
Lost your camera. Like, Jeff, why would you fight against this? Like, every country uses voter ID. You can't get on a plane without a voter ID. You can't buy cigarettes without. You can't buy alcohol without. Like all the normal things that people like. And then like, oh no, it's racist. No, it's not racist. It's that you're cheating. Right. You want people who can't vote to vote, right? Because there's no checks and balances there. It's the only way. I mean, you're trying to just avoid. So when you're telling me that you're going to fight this a national voter ID law when all the red states have it. Look at Florida. By 9:00, we knew DeSantis was reelected, right? We knew exactly what was going on. It was done. And then DeSantis launched a task force that said that anybody caught, he said anybody caught voter fraud or voter fraud related, they busted a couple people with voter fraud, and all of a sudden, geez, nobody was willing to do voter fraud anymore in the state of Florida.
Yep.
I have this video here from Marco from Futureverse that I wanted to put on here. This is
okay. Put that up, and I'll step out and fix my camera again.
Big company born from the merge of Futureverse is a big company born from the merge of 11 companies. Every company is focusing or specializing on a specific piece of the big puzzle. There is no company that can take on the task of building the metaverse by itself. It has to be contribution from a lot of different parties. And when I say parties, we are not just talking about companies, we're talking about end users. Futureverse has these two main areas. One is the research side, on AI, but not just AI, with our own models, trying to approaching AI and the creation of models differently from what other companies have been doing, creating the tools and creating the infrastructure and creating the relationship that allow and empower the end users to be able to do so. It's actually the goal of Futureverse.
Built on the XRPL. So that was a cool video. That was like sort of an excerpt, but the whole video is a little bit longer than that. But I thought that was interesting. Futureverse is doing some cool things, and they're just especially on the AI side of it, especially on the music. What's different about their music is they actually license all their music. Where these other people like Suno are getting sued is because they were training on commercial music that is not. I mean, they might just get shut down. Who knows? But they're training on it. And again, that's a fine line when it comes to creating an LLM. When you train on something like, okay, so there's still that misconception that it's taken from that. If you take every possible music that's ever been done, there's always going to be elements of other people's music. There's only so many notes, dude. That's how it works, right? So there's going to be some crossovers. Even a lot of the hits today, someone had put out a video and said, like, here's this hit, and geez, it sounds like this song from the 80s. And here's this song, it sounds like this song from the 70s, right? We're going to get some of that. Where the training of, even if you train on commercial type stuff, it's creating something new from it. It's taking that as a source, or it learns from that, but it's making something brand new. So people are like, oh, it's stealing. No, it's not really stealing. It's a really weird. That's going to have to be figured out in the courts. I don't know what that's going to take, Jeff, but that's going to take some time.
I mean, it's similar. You look at music, over time, and you get into periods of time where all music sounds exactly the same. One band copies the other. That has a very similar flavor to it. Maybe a little intonation, spin. But from that point, if same argument over, rap music, mixing existing songs that went through the courts, there was a lot of issue over that.
But they were actually using the song, so they had to pay royalties on that. But yeah.
So I'm just saying it's happened over time. And then you think about all the recreated music, music, and it's a lot of songs today that were written back in the 40s or 50s, and they're recreating the music today and making it, and people think it's brand new music, and it's just a recreation or same lyrics. But they're still using, the copyright.
Well, to your point, Jeff, you look at, I look at the 40s. The 40s had a very distinct style. It was a very big band. The 50s started with incorporating the rock and roll, the Elvis Presley, Little Richard, right? Got into the 60s. You had the British invasion. So these decades sort of had their own sound. If you think of 50s, you immediately think, oh, I kind of know what that music period sounds like, right? Like you said, it's a period. It was like a lot of same sounding bands. If you compare the bands from the 60s, you had a lot. They were influenced by what came out of the 50s, like the Beatles. Right. They took from Little Richard and Elvis Presley, and then all of a sudden they created their own thing. You look at the Beatles. Beatles were together 7 years. They recorded for 7 years, and the amount of history they made. They went from short hair dudes to doing ooh and ah to doing really getting into drugs and doing some really deep music. Doing Abbey Road, still the best Beatles album of all time in my opinion. Just the sound on that thing still holds up. And then the 70s, right? You had yacht rock, you had the classic rock, Zeppelin, and then you get into the 80s, and the 80s had their own sort of like synthesizer sort of sound.
Yep. Right. The 80s, right. The 90s was grunge.
90s was grunge.
And then 2000 just died.
2000, that period sort of ended. It was all kind of just mixed in. Like if you think about the 2000s, I can think of bands from that decade. If you think from 2010 to 2020, I can think of some bands in that decade. But we kind of lost that sound, right? That sound kind of went away. Like
there's nothing. How would you even label music to, other than the big one now is just country rock. Country has gotten to be more mainstream, but country's been around. Country, I think, has had the biggest change overall in music. Because now it's more mainstream, but it's also again incorporating more of a rock beat to it.
Right,
which is
a little Black Sabbath lighten things up a little bit. Sure, man.
There we go.
This is what I love about YouTube is you get to see all these bands get interviewed. Like they get on a podcast, and you can, because the interviews they do on a radio station back in the day, it would be and you might be an excerpt of that somewhere, but they have these knockdown, sort of these drag out cool interviews. I happened upon a guy who interviews a lot of these 60s and 70s guys. And he does a great job. He must have been worked in radio. He's got a radio voice, excellent delivery, and he's got no subscribers, 2,000 subscribers, and I'm like, this guy's really good. There's like some really in-depth behind, like, how did you craft that? How did the song come up?
And look at this one here, with the AC/DC, Zeppelin, Metallica. Man, I mean, there's tons of great bands
Right.
out there, and it just so that's interesting. This period of time, I think, since we kind of lost a little bit, they're reaching back in time, right? So
That's
that's why
what I heard.
we're hearing a lot more 90s music, the grunge, but that kind of followed through. I don't think you incorporated more kind of the grunge to thrash metal, and metal kind of intertwined themselves in the 2000s. But that's why it sounded like music from before. There is really no classification now. I don't even know how we classify the past 24 years. There's not. How would you classify
I don't
2000
know.
to 2010?
I mean, pop took
Every
over.
decade it's changed a little bit, but now we have no classification.
I wish I could find it, but I saw something. Somebody had a jacket on. Somebody took a picture of it, and it was Rage Against the Machine. And it was like in the 90s, they were raging against everything the machine. Then they joined the machine. They became the
Right.
biggest pussy sellouts ever. And
Yeah.
and someone had, it was like Rage Against the Machine. It was like cartoon guys like dancing on stage, and it said Rage Against they them machine. So they basically joined the woke crowd. They were the ones saying you couldn't see
That's
their
so funny.
concert if you didn't get a vaccine. I mean, the ones that were raging against the machine joined the machine
It's
and
so
became part of the
ridiculous.
system. What a bunch of pussies, man.
It's amazing. You think about all of that, and even think about Napster. Who was the biggest voice against Napster? I mean, granted, they were losing royalties and losing money, but that was Metallica. Metallica is what helped bring Napster down.
Well, that's pretty cool. Hey, John Lennon's suitcase he took to Germany. He can't get it authenticated though. He picked it up at Abbey Road Studios. There's so many. I get so hooked on these channels that just go deep, and just you'll always hear a little story or something you didn't know about. Some little tidbit
Yeah.
about these about the music. Like it made me almost want to start like just a podcast about music. Just do a podcast about music and talk about all that stuff, since it's like a big, obviously a huge part of my life. Stoner rock and rollers all look the same to me. Dudes, fingerlings, their G strings when they're gyrating. Come on, Jimmy, don't be such a Barry Manilow.
G string on the
Created
guitar.
rap. There you go. Of course, that a little known fact there. Mark Smith's Barry Manilow created rap. Let's get to some big stories here. So let's Michael Saylor.
Oh, there we go. Blondie with Rapture.
Yeah, there you go.
That was another good one.
Rapture. The hip hop, hibbit, the hip hop. You don't stop rocking to the bang bang boogie. See, up jump the boogie of the rhythm of the boogie to beat. That was what started it all, man. That started it all.
That was the first.
Boom, 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 boom. And what was that? That was a Chic song they took, and then that was the first time where they took another song, and they basically just started rapping over it. Sugar Hill Gang, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah. Sugar Hill Gang. Oh yeah, yep.
But then you had Curtis Blow. If you guys know Curtis Blow, if you guys go back that far, but Curtis Blow was also a 70s dude, and he was doing his thing in New Yorker. Yeah, Curtis Blow was an original man.
I saw something on the first electronic music, and there was this woman. She had all these reel-to-reel decks. She was recording sounds on each reel-to-reel deck, and then playing each one of them and oversampling. And she was putting them all together. She had like 5 or 6 reel-to-reel decks that she recorded a sound on, and that's how she created the electronic background music. And that was in the 60s.
There you go, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Sugar Hill Gang. That's it right there.
Live
baby.
crew.
Two live crew. Two legit.
There's all the sellouts.
Quit, Jeff. Remember that?
Rage, Green Day, Bruce Springsteen.
No,
Howard Stern for sure. And Cuban's a douchebag.
Yeah.
How could anyone come out as more of a douchebag and ruin everything he's ever said? Is Mark Cuban, when he came out and said that there's no strong Republican women, they're all weak, or whatever he said.
Oh, that's
I think that ruins him. You don't come out and say something like that.
Well, he got so much backlash from all my feed just filled up with just women that I forgot were even Republicans or even, but they just gave him a tongue lashing. And the rumor is that the Harris campaign told him to just stand down. You're not representing the campaign. Shut your mouth. Like this. You're not doing any favors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
ELO a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
ELO is great, man. Yeah,
Dude,
fantastic.
Tone Loc.
Miami Hurricane fan, you know all about Uncle Luke. Of course, Uncle Luke, dude. Yeah, that's
Tone Loc.
legend.
Run DMC. Man, there you go.
Run DMC was great, man. Run DMC was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Man,
All right.
I still like that old school rap, man. Still like Tribe Called Quest. Still one of my
Oh,
all-time
Tribe.
favorites.
Oh, man. That's another good
All-time
one.
favorites, man. Love, love, love. There's so many good. There were a lot of good rap in the '90s. I don't know. It's kind of devolved a little bit. Even Snoop back in the day was so much better, you know. But anywho's, let's go, man. Michael Saylor said they have them paying tax. They have them paying tax on crypto, and I don't think that's right. Bitcoin is money, and you don't have to pay capital gains on tax if
And
you
you
use
have
it to buy a coffee.
And
I
you
was
have
talking
to
with
pay capital gains.
Yeah, you have to pay. Yeah, you have to pay. He goes, I don't think that's right. I was talking with a friend. She said it really shouldn't be taxed, and I agree. And this is supposedly something that Trump said, although it's more or less hearsay because it was.
I saw the tweet. I got to find that tweet. It was a whole statement that he made.
Jeff claims he saw it. I haven't seen it. I'm usually, if you guys have seen it or
Someone
you guys
has seen
have,
it out there. It just
you guys have-
happened like 2 days ago.
I must have missed that completely. But
Wow, look at that.
I mean, if so, though, this is a huge development. If this is the case, man.
Look at this.
Elon Musk tweeted regarding some celebrities supporting Kamala. Even if everyone in music and entertainment endorses Kamala puppet, it won't matter. The public sees through it. Any thoughts? I think you're right. I don't think it means anything. I think before we became the media, what I mean by that is that any one of us can amplify a story that goes against that's the counter narrative of what the mainstream media is trying to do, which is all in. They're all Dems. They're all in for that. So I think it mattered at one time if a celebrity came out. But I think there's such a disdain for celebrities today, and they're all
Celebrities
Diddy.
suck.
They're all on the Diddy list. That's weird. They all went to the Diddy parties, and they're all coming
Right.
out almost like a gun to their head, like when they're endorsing. It's so weird, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and Musk is making a really good statement on that. That Kamala's the puppet. All these entertainers out there are purely that, entertainers. Most of them are just very naive. No, it's fine. It's good. Thanks.
This is Lucky Mo too, who we met in person. Yes, I'm OG rap. I don't listen to anything new. Tribe Called Quest was great. There's a lot of cool stuff out of there. I'd love to hear what other stuff you listen to. It'd be cool to just talk about that as well. Mostly the Diddy victims. Yeah, pretty much all that. So, I mean, and then like LeBron came out and endorsed Harris. And then you had Obama putting out a post saying, you should listen to LeBron. Dude, what do you mean we should listen to LeBron?
Right.
What the hell's wrong with it? I mean, who even talks like that? You should listen. I mean, who are you? Like you're past president?
The fact that he's getting involved, Chip, as a past president, that they don't do that. Even Clinton recently just had a statement on the whole Palestinian issue. And he's very outspoken about that because he did everything he could to create peace. And Arafat basically just slapped him in the face and launched an intifada war. But as he's making the statement on this whole thing, he's basically saying there's only one president right now, so I have to be very careful on what I say and how I say it. Right. But he said, I think we're at the point where we have to start everything all over again from scratch, right? There is no starting point. We're at zero. And so, but then you listen to Obama, and Obama's out there, just making all these statements, and he's overstepping the line of what ex-presidents, previous presidents normally do. They're doing everything in their power to try to get the one who wasn't elected. And, she wasn't elected. She didn't win in a primary. And here they are. They're trying to influence an outcome. And we can see, we talked just a little bit earlier about the corruption at the polls. Here we have corruption at the highest levels of everything they're trying to do. And this is the only thing they have. They have no policy. They have no positive. The only thing they have are the celebrity endorsements. And the celebrities are probably paid. And at minimum, they're useful idiots. The majority of them don't know anything from anything. The smart ones educate themselves, and you hear them come out and speak. Look at Ricky Gervais. He came out in front of all of Hollywood, mocked every single one of them, and they all sat there laughing. I mean, what else are they going to do? He continues to mock them, and it's crazy because the majority of them are useful idiots. They're just paid for what? You know, what are they actually getting compensated for? And why does anybody look up to them? The majority of these celebrities, you know, they reach a certain status because they're good at memorizing lines, or, you know, whatever it might be. You know, they haven't really done anything in life that really behooves people, you know, idolizing them. You know, but yet they're going to idolize them to a point where, like, Obama is going to promote an athlete and say, oh, you should all do what he does. You should all support Kamala. I mean, that it just makes zero sense. Yeah, because he's a good athlete means that he knows, you know.
Well, listen, Bronny, his kid, is the worst professional basketball player in history. And you're okay with that, getting your son on you know, to play for Los Angeles, an iconic team, and the kid's got zero skills. I'm sorry, man. Sometimes that apple falls way far from the tree. Most of the time it doesn't. That kid has no skills, nothing like LeBron, right? And I love LeBron when he was with Miami. But you know, I mean, it's insane. But you want to hear Chef, look at this. I'm glad you brought up Ricky Gervais, because this right here, this little clip right here, says everything about the celebrity endorsements. Here we go.
Right. Others.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime. It makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country. And you don't want that.
That's the greatest thing.
I love it.
It's the greatest thing ever. Let's play it again.
I love that. Oh my God.
I hate crime. I'll get mad and I'll leave the country. This is like the greatest parody on celebrity. This is you asked about celebrity endorsements. Here it is right here.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime. And it makes me sad and angry. And I'll leave the country. And you don't want that.
It's the greatest thing ever, man. It's like that went around a while ago, but then it started circulating again. I was like, thank God I was able to find it. But God, was that some funny shit, dude?
He's the best.
Oh, he is the best. I mean, that will go down in history. I mean, it was better than any roast. I mean, like, I've watched that so many times, and it never gets old to see him just piss in their face with that. And that was the
best.
And this is why most people don't like them, because they're so swarmy. They're so, you know, elitist, better than you, thinking they're all like high and mighty. Look, you memorize lines and you're able to recite them. That's what you do. Denzel Washington was in a recent interview, and I was watching it, and the guy, I have so much respect for him, because he said, he was saying about they were like asking a bunch of actors, like, what were your worst jobs and best jobs? He said, well, he goes, I worked as a garbage man. He goes, what was nice about that job was you had 8 hours to do it. And if you got it done in 3 hours, you went home. And he said, and then I was a janitor or something like that. And he goes, you were there 8 hours, whether you did the work or not. So he made a cool statement about it. He goes, but let's not, you know, let's call it what it is. Acting is a privilege. To be in a movie is a privilege. And that's all it is. It's an extreme privilege. It doesn't, you know, it's not better than anything else or what people do. So play it one more time. You want to hear that one more time? Oh, the roast. Yeah, we should play that roast. That roast would be phenomenal.
That was the best.
But I just thought to myself, my God, that Ricky Gervais is so freaking funny. Look at this here. This is Mark Halperin. Mark Halperin is famous Dem. But listen to what he's saying here. Check this out.
First of all, revelation for me today regarding the battleground states. It remains the base case that Vice President Harris is unlikely to win, according to my sources in both parties. Not sure thing, but unlikely to win Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona. If she doesn't win those three states, she must sweep Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. As forecast here a long time ago, it appears that she's basically back to where Joe Biden was on the eve of the debate. One electoral college path to exactly 270 electoral votes. So our intense focus for the rest of the way will be to continue to monitor to see whether she can actually win North Carolina, Georgia, or Arizona.
Yeah. So and the other thing is she pulled all the money out of North Carolina, which is very telling. Their internal polls say that they don't have a shot in North Carolina, so they're going to dump the resources and time to where they think they can win. But if we think about this, Jeff, here's what you want to see how crafty this Kamala Harris is. I'm going to play this little bit here from CNN, because first of all, I was shocked that CNN did this, but second of all, let's listen in this clip. I don't want to give too much away, but let's listen to this.
Tonight, mixed messages. A K-file investigation this hour finds Kamala Harris is targeting crucial battleground voters with vastly different messages on Gaza and Israel. This ad is running in Michigan, which has the largest Arab population in America.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
All right, well, it's a very different story for an ad in Pennsylvania targeting Jewish voters.
Let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7.
She's full of shit.
Different message. Andrew Kaczynski is out front now. So, Andrew, those obviously do sound starkly different, to say the least. Tell me more about what you found.
Yeah, that's right. And look, this really illustrates the sort of fine line that the Harris campaign is trying to walk here.
Fine line.
Weeks, closing days of this campaign on the issue of Israel. Here you have two entirely different constituencies, and they are getting two entirely different messages. There are often times these constituencies have very opposing views on this. If you are a Jewish person in Pennsylvania, you saw that ad that you're getting. You are getting that ad that talks about how strong she is in Israel. If you're a Muslim voter in Michigan, you are getting that ad on Facebook that's talking about how she won't be silent on the issue of Gaza. Now, what's really interesting here is that ad that we just played, the one that's going to Jewish voters in Pennsylvania. Now, it sort of sounds like those two clips of her talking about Israel are together, but they actually cut part of it out. Take a listen to what they cut.
Unreal.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
And you've seen too that she
talks out of both sides of her mouth.
cut out that portion.
Tell that to Kuwait. Tell that to Kuwait, Lebanon, and Jordan.
Right.
And then we can talk. We go back historically under the British mandate, and when they carved out Transjordan really should have been, if they were going to create a Palestinian state, it would have been Jordan. But that's a whole different conversation that we can get into. But hey, here's another video. I thought this was interesting. Let me just put this up. It was, you and I talked about it briefly, but it was the Washington Post. And I just think, we're starting to see a meltdown, amongst the general media. And
well, the WAP, this is where Bezos said we're not going to endorse a candidate, and oh, we don't have sound on it.
I forgot to add the sound. Hang on.
Yeah, go ahead and add the sound. But what this is, this whole thing of, we thought he was like changing his opinion. He's like, no one trusts the media. I'm like, well, when you see what happens in this clip, it's pretty obvious why you don't trust them, because they're just full of shit.
Right. They leave shit out. They make stories up. They're twisting the narrative.
Thing about Liz Cheney with the barrels. I mean, the point that Trump was making is, yeah, you know what, you want to be a war hawk? Great. Well, how'd you like to be holding a rifle with 9 pointing back at you right in your face? He was saying, like, how'd you like to be? You put yourself on the front line when you got guns, and then let's see how much you want to do war. And the media over here spun it. And and I also heard from Matt, my buddy Matt over there in Australia. He was like, he's like, the media was doing it all over Australia. I mean, the whole thing, the whole nonstop thing of making stuff up. And I was like, that's not what he said. And they only played the clip to where, and they said about, whether women will like it or not. And then they played that clip. You see who he thinks? He's an authoritarian. And he said he's going to protect women. He's not going to allow men in sports. He's not going to allow women to be whether they like it or not. His job is to protect all women.
Just to protect them. He said, I'm going to protect them whether they like it or not. And Kamala Harris is promoting it as all about abortion.
This is what happens when you don't have a platform to run on. You don't have any results to run on. You have to go back to when you were a prosecutor 15 years ago. That's because you're an empty suit. You're an empty vessel. You were selected, not elected. It's time to bounce that witch.
That's it. All right, let's go real quick.
Me, or does it seem like this week Donald Trump is laying the groundwork for contesting the election by complaining that cheating was taking place in Pennsylvania by suing Bucks County for alleged irregularities? And this is on top of his continual assertion that if he loses, it's because of cheating.
Yeah, that's what he's been laying the groundwork for this, just not in the last week, but in the last umpty-ump months. No election can be fair unless in Donald Trump's mind, unless Donald Trump
These people are so duplicitous.
And
they're mentally ill.
Are going to see him both rev up his supporters to contest elections outside of courtrooms and go to every courtroom he can in America where it's relevant to make whatever arguments he can, no matter how far-fetched. We saw
Jonathan, I've got
out last time, but it didn't work out this time. It may not work. That may not happen this time. And now I'll let you go, Hugh.
Let her finish, Hugh.
Well, just got to say, we're news people, even though we're at the opinion section. It's got to be reported. Bucks County was reversed by the court and instructed to open up extra days because they violated the law and told people to go home. So that lawsuit was brought by the Republican National Committee, and it was successful.
Yes, it was.
The court ruled that Glenn Youngkin was successful. We are news people, even though we have opinions, and we have to report the whole story if we bring up part of the story. So yes, he's upset about Bucks County, but he was right, and he won in court. That's the story.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this.
Going, Jonathan.
No, I don't appreciate being lectured about reporting when Hugh, many times you come here saying lots of things that aren't.
I won't come back, Jonathan. I'm done. I'm done. This is the most unfair election ad I have ever been a part of. You guys are working. That's fine. I'm done.
So Ruth, you wrote a column this week ending.
The best part is she freezes up. Watch.
Right, I know. This is the best.
We're going to put it on the screen. You wrote, "You want to know the stakes of this election? Not only democracy, but decency." Talk more about that, Ruth.
Okay, I'm collecting myself.
What a shit show this is.
Oh, Ruth froze.
I love this.
Ruth is frozen.
Nobody trusts the Washington Post.
So hang in there, everyone. We're going to see if we can try to get Ruth back.
I don't like to be lectured.
Oh my God.
Something down.
They never get her back, which is great.
Which, my God.
Oh my God. But it's so crazy when we see, and any finally, Hewitt stands up for what's right. And he's 100% accurate, just like the CNN. Why all of a sudden is CNN now deciding they have to report fact? But for years, they've never supported fact. They edit, they clip, they cut out sections, and this is what they've been doing, from the beginning. And you see it, and it's crazy because when I hear it from strangers, it's one thing. I've had so many conversations with my dad about this, and I don't know at what point he kind of change, maybe now that he isn't working and he's home and he watches the news all day, but he's been infiltrated by mainstream media. And we had a conversation. He was over at the house a couple of weeks ago, and we're having a conversation about it. He said, "So you're telling me that there's corruption at the highest level, that there's all this deception going on, that they're doing this in the media and nobody knows about it. I'm like, people know about it. Obviously, people are talking about it. And then and I said, well, what about what's going on, with the Federal Reserve? Because we know where he stands on all of that. And he goes, oh, he said, don't get me started on that, because he has similar viewpoints as you do on all of that, And so we start talking. So it can occur there, but it can't occur with the mainstream media, right? And I said, so you can't have one and not the other. And I said, how about all the major Ivy League universities who saw what happened, with all the pro-Islamic that's been going on for years? How come you didn't see that? But that's been happening, and all these. And I just broke down all the and I said, you need to stop watching the media. Stop watching the news. Don't watch the mainstream media. It's just filled with garbage, and they're manipulating everything that you think. And so I said, just stop, just start reading, go back and watch the original clip, because we were talking about all the things that Trump has said and how they've manipulated and spun it.
Right. But this shows you, though, how somebody really intelligent who understands how you can kind of get wrapped back into it. Like, I get these emergency tweets from my dad all the time. He's like, oh, did you hear what happened? Do you think this is going to ruin Trump's chances? Like, he's like, he early voted for Trump. He's like, do you think this is going to ruin his chances? I'm like, chances for what? Like, I have to set him straight on everything. And I'm like, Dad, please turn off Lester Holt. He loves watching Lester Holt every night. I'm like, NBC he watches him. And I'm like, how can you watch a guy where his top lip never moves? I'm like, come on, stop it.
I find but it hits home, right? It's so close to home, and it's crazy.
And he goes, I like to see what both sides are thinking. I'm like, then if you know they're both sides, then don't watch it anymore.
Right.
I'm like, I told him the same thing. I'm like, Dad, just stop, okay? Stop watching this shit. Right. He's like, yeah, but they said this, but they were saying this, and everybody's thinking. I'm like, no, they're not. I go, they lost their influence. Their ratings are going into the toilet.
Yeah.
Just
go out and read.
You know one thing about Trump is, like, remember Trump the first time when he said fake news, and like, fake news? What? It's so stupid. What a moron. Right. Now it's a worldwide term, fake news, to describe the leftist elite narrative bullshit, right? I mean, now that's fake news, right? Everybody calls it just fake news. And it's so funny, but it was Trump someone had to say it the first time. And people forget that, he's the one that called it out. Now we call it all fake news. It's just garbage. But I want to play one clip before we get out of here. This is an anonymous clip. Anonymous released this. Anonymous is always talking about all kinds of shit. But I was surprised to see this one. And who knows? Anybody can forge an anonymous clip these days.
Right. Yeah.
Donald Trump is not even a person anymore. He is a symbol. He is a symbol of the average, everyday guy that keeps getting screwed every single time. Watches other people screw up big banks, screw up their companies, and get away with it. They see people all the time doing stuff that they know if they did, they'd be in prison for 20 years. But because they're not part of the elite, they get away with it. Donald Trump has taken arrow after arrow, and that's why this is the way the average American feels tonight. This guy has been taking the bullets for the average person now for years, and the people on the right feel like he's the only guy that really gets what the people are feeling. And it's not going to end well for the Democrats in the next election. I don't know if Donald Trump is the winner or not, but I will tell you this. You're not going to stop 100 million people. This country is in shambles, and there's going to be 100 million people that will walk on broken glass and through fire to vote for someone other than this corrupt banana republic administration.
There you go. Pretty much says it all. Well, let's get out of here, Jeff. I got a whole busy day. I gotta go run some errands and stuff, and got lots to do.
Yeah. Man, for tomorrow night, I'm going to find there was a really good statement from JD Vance where they were questioning his loyalty. And
oh, yeah. That was great.
And he said, what has Kamala, what has she done, to show that she's loyal to this country? He served in the military. He was over, in a war zone, built a business. And he said, and his running mate took a bullet for the country,
Case closed.
And that's it. Like, what has she done? It was such a great statement.
Let's hope we're celebrating Deaton's win, Alchemist. Let's hope we're celebrating that on Tuesday. Jeff, are you going to live stream? I'm unfortunately I have to travel, but
I'm planning on live streaming the election results Tuesday. I know, so that I think that'll be really great. We'll kind of workshop it as it goes. We'll start at 8 p.m. as things are closing. It'll be kind of fun. kind of go through the real politic of it to see how things unfold. You know, it'd be
for sure. Let's get
I'll
on.
I'll get somebody on here with me to dissect it. We'll see who that might be.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys on the next
we'll censor
one.
it.
I'll be on tomorrow night, but I won't be on Wednesday night. So we'll see you guys later. Chip and Jeff. Ow! Selling pretzels at the clown show.
The clown show.
Oh, man, you're ruining my outro here. Chip and Jeff. Ow!
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.